So welcome at Le Collectionneur. The hostel is hosting us today.
Thank you.
Thanks to the team to welcome Dave Holland and Kenny Barron. First question, you've been performing on duet on stage since an initial performance at the Montreux Jazz Festival in June 2011. When did you first met, and could you also say a few words about how you started working together?
Well, I'm not really sure. We first met musically anyway. It was a recording that you did, right,
Yeah,
Kenny?
yeah.
It was the recording Scratch.
Scratch, yeah. That's my first recollection.
Yeah.
We met in the studio along with Daniel Humer. And we had never played together, and there was no rehearsal.
Right.
You know. So we just went in the studio, and then whatever happened, happened. It actually won a prize over here in Paris.
Yeah.
Disc of the Year or something like that. But it was a great experience playing with Dave. You know, I mean, it's just always right there.
Likewise, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, we'd been in New York a while at the same time, so I knew, of course, you're playing and had seen you, and may have met you. I can't remember exactly, but I was very honored that you asked me to be on the record, Kenny. It was really special for me. And I remember I just got my bass from the shop. It had just been overhauled. And I came to the studio, and it was sounding really great, and it was just a great day for me. I remember it very well.
Well, as it was for me, you know,
Yeah.
you said, I mean, and the thing is, you know, when you play with somebody different, we had never played before.
Yeah.
And I had never met Daniel Humer.
Yeah.
So when you play with somebody different,
Yes.
sometimes it brings other things out.
It does.
And that's what happened for me
Yeah.
on that record. It made me play a lot differently than I normally play, you
Yeah.
know. So it was great. It was great.
So subsequent to that, I mean, we kept seeing each other here and
Yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah.
I remember being at the Lafayette one time, and I met you in the bar, and we were talking about, yeah, we got to do something again.
Yeah, right.
And then I'd see you somewhere else. We got to do something again, you know. And so I guess we finally did.
Finally did it.
Yeah,
You know, finally happened.
And so why have you decided to record this album just now?
Well, you know, we've had a chance to play together quite a bit now. I think we started a couple of years ago, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
we've done sometimes a few gigs as a run, and then odd things here and there. And the music's just sort of been developing.
Yeah.
We worked in New York for a week, didn't we, last
Yeah,
year?
at Jazz Standard, I think.
Jazz Standard.
Yeah.
And that sort of was a chance to really, I think when you play in a club, you really have a chance to
Yeah.
get down to the nitty-gritty of the music, right?
That's exactly right. Yeah.
I think by then, I think we all just felt, yeah, I think it's time to
Felt
record
comfortable.
something. Yeah.
Comfortable, you know. So
Yeah.
not safe.
No, never safe.
Never safe.
No, we don't want
but
that.
it felt comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And could you say more about the music you played on the record? How do you manage the repertoire? Is it improvisation or composition? Did you choose for this record?
Well, I think it's still a work in progress, but basically we're doing compositions by both of us,
Yeah.
and some standards. But I think it's evolving.
Yeah.
It's evolving, you know. So it's neither here nor there. It's evolving, you know, and I think that's a good thing.
Kenny's music, I love to play his compositions, and as he said, it puts you in a different frame of mind when you play a musician's compositions. You get an insight into their playing as well and how they think about music, I think. So that would, you know, we just decided to put together a collection of music that was a mixture of our original compositions and then some standards, as Kenny said, but you know, we kind of make them a kind of personal as well, how we play them. But it's a really nice kind of collection of music for me to work on and to develop, and we're still adding music to it.
Yeah, we're still adding.
For the recording, we brought in some new pieces, and you know, they're going to be part of the collection that we have on the recording. Yeah.
Oh, one thing I would like to add, though, is that playing with Dave, there's always interaction. You know, so it's not him just playing changes or, you know, he's feeding me. So it's this back and forth. It's really like a conversation, and that's what's great. That's really great.
That's the part of the music I've always loved, is that communal, it's a discussion, but using music as a language, and you kind of put out an idea, propose this, and then you get a reaction back, and then the other musician proposes this, and that back and forth. It's great for us and exciting for us, but I think it's also recognized by the audience. That when they see that happening and hear it happening on stage, they know that something's unfolding that has never happened before. So it kind of gives you that sense of, creation happening on the spot, and an unfolding of an adventure, kind of. That's the way I kind of see it. And well, it is an adventure for you, for sure.
And by this, what is special between a conversation between a piano and a double bass? Why it is so special, a conversation between piano and double bass?
Well, this is special between any two instruments. Any two instruments, it would be special, And actually, piano and bass is more common, so that makes it even more special when the bassist is able to, when you're able to have a conversation.
Yeah. I think what's special is when you have just two musicians, because the communication becomes very direct, doesn't it?
Exactly.
You're not dealing with like 4 or 5 elements in the group. It's just one-on-one. So it's very concentrated and very connected and personal, very personal kind of feeling. So yeah.
Okay, and could we say that during playing standards, do you do improvisation too? And what's the part of this improvisation in the compositions?
Playing standards, whatever you're playing, certainly the way Kenny approaches music, I think the way I approach music, we're dealing with improvisation. We're dealing with reworking the ideas, whether we're playing one of Kenny's pieces or mine. We're constantly trying to find new avenues and new pathways to walk down in the music, and so yeah, I think that's improvisation. That's the essence of improvisation for me, is trying to discover new ways to approach the thing from night to night.
In this way, do you believe that everything has been experienced in jazz, or do you feel like
No
way.
No way.
There's no way everything's been experienced in jazz at all. It's continually evolving art form, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, there's so much more to discover, so much more to learn. You try and find different ways of doing things. Otherwise, when you feel satisfied or gratified, it's over. That means there's nothing else left. But there's always something left. There's always some goal to shoot for. There's always another chorus where you can try something and find something. And that's for me, that's the joy of the music. What can I do next chorus?
Yeah, it's a never-ending experience.
Yeah, exactly.
I think this one. It's also to do with how you approach it, and if you're curious and you're searching and things, which I think we both are. Trying to find new ways of putting things together and so on. And in terms of future of music too, I have to say, I think both of us are quite involved in teaching and being with young musicians. And I'm just constantly inspired and enjoy, the energy and the commitment I see from young players, and the way they're taking what's happened up to this point and now reworking that and coming back with some new ideas. And it's one of the things I like about teaching, is being able to hear what they're thinking about, what they're doing with the influences that they've had in their music.
And being inspired by them.
Yeah.
Because often I sit with my piano students, and the stuff they come up with, it really amazes me, And I just want to say, can you show me that, please? So I learn a lot from them. So it's almost sometimes like we're peers as opposed to teacher-student, because they're so good. I mean, they're really wonderful players.
I think that's a continuing element in the community of musicians in our community is that you know, you're learning from each other all the time. I mean, you know, people talk about being self-taught. There's no such thing, I don't think. We learn from each other. Things that I've learned, you know, essential things have been learned just by being on the stand with somebody like Kenny or other musicians I've been lucky enough to play with, and see how they conduct themselves, how they put their music together, how they react to different moments in the music. That's how you learn about how it's done, you know, and that I'm always referring to that community of musicians for continuing to be inspired and grow, and you know, I'm always looking for new experiences myself in the music to stimulate my thinking about what I'm doing.
And you played with great artists like Dizzy Gillespie from Mr. Barron and Miles Davis for you, Dave. They certainly gave you some precious advice. And what do you usually say now to young musicians who are looking for answers and who are asking you some advice on some?
Well, one of the simplest things is just play as much as you can, and with as many people as you can. You know, just get that experience. You know, I don't know if it was like that for you, Kenny, but I mean, when you know, it's a question you're asked very often. How was it playing with so and so and so and so? What did you learn? It's very hard to answer that, isn't it? Because it's not a tangible thing, exactly. It's just something about how it's done and the feeling that. That's put into the music, and you can't exactly put it into words in a concrete way. You know, it's not about, well, I learned this scale from this person or that thing. It's much more to do with how you express yourself, how to conduct yourself as a musician, and just how you get up onto the bandstand and prepare yourself to play. I mean, those kind of things, right?
Exactly right. I mean, I you know, spending 4 years with Dizzy Gillespie. Yeah. I mean, he never set me down at the piano and said, "Oh, play this, play that."
Right.
You know, but just listening to him night after night after night for 4 years, and seeing how he same thing, how he conducted himself. You know, and also there was another gentleman, James Moody, was in the band, and both of them, seeing how they conducted themselves, seeing how Dizzy would react to certain moments in the music.
Right.
You know. That was amazing just to watch and see, and I learned from that. Also, another thing is, excuse me, to see how he treated people. You know, not just the band members, but the audience. He was always very respectful. Always very respectful. This is very corny, but he was a nice guy. You know, and that's what he was, and I think that's important. That's a part of it as well. You know, you can't have evil on the bandstand.
Yeah.
You know.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
And do you consider yourselves like jazz masters now? Because you met jazz masters in your young time, and no, that's
I mean,
your
it's
status.
a title. And
yeah.
And I appreciate it. But there's just so much more to learn. You know. There's just so much more to learn, you know. The one thing I get from it is that, okay, there's an acknowledgement of the experience you've had because of your age, you know. I mean, that's one of the first things I said when I found out I had gotten the nomination for Jazz Master. Wow, does that mean I'm old now? You know, but I've reached a certain age, and hopefully I've had a certain amount of experience. You know, and I think that's what it is. It's an acknowledgement of the experience you've had.
And a contribution, Kenny.
Well, thank you, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you know, I think I'm still feel like a student of the music, really. I mean, that's, you know, I echo what Kenny says, you know, masters is kind of a tag that people put on it, but I think as far as your own personal attitude towards your own work is, I find it not helpful to think in those terms. You know, I find that what's useful to me is to still just be very open and trying to learn something every day and learn something from people I play with. And, you know, I'll let other people decide on titles, you know.
Okay, and last, Kenny, could you talk a few words about Dave?
A few words.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Mr. Holland is probably one of my very, very favorite bass players. Bassists, you know. Time is impeccable. His choice of notes is impeccable. You know, and again, he doesn't just play time and chords. He engages with you, and that's important. And so it inspires you to make some other turns while you're playing. So that's important. So I don't have a ton to say, but the music speaks for itself.
Dave, it's your turn. Could you talk
Yeah.
2 words about
Well, you know, of course, Ken is a wonderful soloist and pianist, but he's also an outstanding accompanist as well. And that's evident with so much of his work that he's done in the past, you know, and that sensitivity to the other musicians that he's playing with and the sense of being part of a group and a group statement that's going on is, as I said earlier, is one of the key parts of the music that I've always loved, is that communal aspect, you know. Of course, he's incredibly talented and original musician. I mean, he has his own voice on the piano. But, you know, I go beyond the notes that we play. To me, it's not about the notes. It's about the story and the story that Kenny tells when he plays and the way he interacts with the other musicians. I think is very special. And he's a fine gentleman, too.
Yes.
It's very nice to be... Very nice to be on the road. As he said, you know, like one of the worst things is when you're having to tour with people that are always complaining and sort of making, you know, life difficult. You know, life's difficult enough. I mean, you know, you have to roll with a few difficulties. Sometimes you miss a plane, you know, something doesn't quite go right, or a plane gets canceled or something, you know, and you've just got to learn to roll with that. And, you know, having good people around you with a positive attitude, to me, is essential at this stage in my life. I don't want to have to deal with anything else. So,
amen to that.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks a lot.
All right.
Can I ask you guys to say one other thing about, or 2 things. One is, can you mention a couple of the names of the songs that you contributed to the project? Just, you know.
What did we contribute?
I know.
We did a while ago. Actually, we don't have titles for them all either. You got me there, Karen.
I stumped you.
Yeah, one of them was a new one that hasn't got a title yet. What did we do?
Well,
In Your Arms, we did one.
Yeah,
That was one of mine, right?
Yeah. There's a new ballad that I wrote called Rain. And my thought was to have Dave play the melody. And it's just so beautiful. It works out perfectly, having him play the melody. Wow. You know.
Yeah.
So I was very happy about that.
Yeah. Kenny wrote this beautiful melody. And when he brought the music out, we hadn't played it before this recording session, had we? And he said, "I've got this piece, you know." I thought maybe it'd be nice to have it as a bass, just the bass playing the melody. And so I had it, and it was quite high up on the instrument. Yeah. So I did a take of it, and I said, "Well, I've got to get a little deeper into this music because I've just seen it." And then we did another take later, and it's just a beautiful song. It's got a kind of classic simplicity to it, but the sentiment I think that it expresses is beautiful. So that was kind of one of the memorable pieces that we did.
And how do you manage to pick up in the book of composition and standards? How do you choose the repertoire, the compositions?
I think to choose the tunes is just a matter of discussion. And
yeah, we just talk about it.
We said, "What do you think? What do you think about this piece?" There was a monk piece, right, in Walk Bud that we played that we both like a lot as a tune to play on. You know, so it's just a mutual agreement that we come to about what we want to play and what feels good at the time. You know. All right.
One last thing. Have you guys learned anything from each other that you want to talk about that has nothing to do with music?
Has nothing to do with music.
Wow.
I don't know. I mean, I'm sure we have. but I don't know what that is.
I've learned something about. We've learned about each other.
Yeah.
Because naturally, when we're traveling, you know, we talk about all kinds of things and their backgrounds and experience we've had. You know, and I like that part of getting to know a musician because you kind of get to know the reference points that people have in their lives. You know, so that's been great. But I mean, I learn something every night playing with Kenny's. You know, I was just trying to. Yeah, no, it's a great experience.